Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Pro Lok number ELP-240-1-C. This is a latch protector, and the -1 means that there's one pin, and we're going to discover what that means. I'm going to remove this from the packaging, and we'll take a closer look at everything here. Latch protectors are pieces of equipment that comply with that old saying, locks keep honest people honest. You know, the locksmith would certainly say, you know, you put a latch protector on there and they're just going to go to the next door. Someone else's door is the logic. The back of the packaging are the installation instructions, which we'll get to in this video. But first, a dimensional review of what we're dealing with. This is a piece of steel with a chrome plating on it. There's that pin that I referred to. There's one pin. This will also include a spacer. Depending on your frame application, you might use a spacer to build that off the face of your door a little bit more. Probably won't need it if it's stock hollow metal doors and frames, but you never know. This is going to include a couple of carriage bolts with acorn nuts and washers. My guess is that those are 5/16 of an inch. Let's take a little closer look as to what that actually is. It's nice to know the actual bolt size of what you're using to secure your door. 5/16 is a pretty standard size. Yeah, 5/16. My caliper tells me 0.31, so 5/16. It's a carriage bolt, so it'll have nothing on the outside to get a handle on, a square profile to the underside of the head. It has an acorn nut, which is obviously to prevent the rough end of the bolt just, you know, being laid out in the open, although I'm not a real fan of an acorn nut, and I'll show you why, and suggest how you might, you know, work around that. But back to the latch guard itself. This is going to be available in aluminum, brass color, chrome color, dark bronze color, and stainless steel, satin stainless steel. It's available with no pin, 1 pin, and 2 pin. We'll get to that. Overall height of this latch guard, 13 inch. They say that it's 3 5/8. I would say that it's 3 9/16. This features an offset. Okay, you can see the giddy up that's here. That's the offset, that area right inside of here. Okay, so the reason for that is because a typical hollow metal door is inset into the face of the frame slightly, about 3/32 of an inch. Now that offset on the plate is meant to accommodate that, even though that offset appears to be a bit larger than what would ultimately be necessary. However, because of the length of this and any sort of potential for warp of the door or the jamb not being completely plumb, that's usually relieved a little bit more than what's absolutely necessary. And let's see if we can gauge what that offset is. And again, typical hollow metal door is going to have about 3/32 of an inch, you know, about 90 thousandths or thereabouts. So not very much. About a 1/4 inch is what that offset's going to be. Measuring the distance from here down here, what that dimension is, and then subtracting the thickness of the material, which was about 100 thousandths. 0.095. 0.095 thick. By the way, weighs about 1.4 pound, 1.41. So as the door closes, the door goes into the frame ever so slightly. And should that not be an adequate amount of offset, the spacer is 0.117, so almost 1/8 of an inch thick spacer that you would apply to the back of this should you need to even more, even by that dimension, increase your ultimate offset on the plate. Okay, that's what it's going to look like. That spacer will go right underneath there. Now, this pin in this portion here is what mounts to the door. So in your perspective, this is a right-hand reverse. Okay. This whole area is what wraps to the face, or what overlays onto the face of the jamb, okay? This pin is going to make contact with the face of the frame. You're going to drill a hole in the frame for that pin to be accommodated. That's what's called an anti-spread pin. So if I were to try to attack the door with a large crowbar and spread it open to have the latch bolt no longer seated into the strike and come out, so I can just easily pull the door open, that pin, which again is available with no pin, 1 pin, or 2 pins, is meant to be an anti-spread feature, is the bottom line. Okay, so that's what that is there for. Completely reversible. You're going to install it. You know, that pin will either be up or down, but it's completely reversible. These bolts are meant for an 1 3/4 thick door. If you needed to handle a door of a different thickness, you will either add washers or need a shorter bolt or a longer bolt. Now let's talk about that bolt and why I don't really care for the acorn nut concept. Let's switch to the screen view so that we can look not only at that, but also the installation instructions. Now this is the item that we're looking at, and those installation instructions are here, which we'll get to in a moment. But the nut, the pin combination, the acorn nut combination really comes into play in this regard. Here's our frame. Okay, and our door, it's going to obviously swing this way. Okay, so that latch protector, actually let's do that. Let's do that again. All right, now we're showing a little bit better, illustrating what an inset is. Well, that latch protector is going to, and first of all, the latch protector, as you noticed, was notched like this so that you can get door hardware in here, or more likely a rectangular escutcheon in here that you would then have lever trim. Okay, it's probably what's going to happen. That's why that's notched out. I'll give you the dimensions of that notched area after we wrap up this screen view. So your latch guard's going to come like this, offset like this. That pin will fit into here in one of these places. Okay, anti-spread pin. Well, that bolt is going to sit here. That needs to come through the door. Okay, the problem is that acorn nut needs to fit right here. Okay, and what I'm drawing attention to is that acorn nut might make contact with that face of the stop. So be mindful of when you are placing the unit on the door where you're going to run that bolt through. You don't want to have conflict with the stop area here. Okay, so that's what I'm driving at with that. You're going to need to set this so that your plate is far enough over so that your bolt misses all of that and resides here. Okay, I suppose you could get elaborate with devising another way to go about, installing this material. You could probably build drill a slightly larger hole. You might come up with a piece of tube or conduit. You then might be able to create yourself a countersunk sort of bolt application because you've got the spacer tube giving you a really stable sort of installation underneath the head of the bolt. You can get creative with how to solve this problem. You might look for a fastener that has a very small head on it as well, so that it will reside right in this space here without any conflict. Okay, and have that bolt come here. So getting creative with it is what you'll possibly want to do, or maybe we're just overthinking it. Okay, so that covers why that is happening there. Now the installation instructions. Again, the back of the packaging. This is a generic document showing 2 anti-spread pins, and if you wanted 2, you would just you'd have two anti-spread pins, which are a good idea. I would encourage 2 over 1. If you're going to drill 1, why not 2? Door frames vary. The distance or offset between the door and the frame also varies. There are many latch protector designs for you to choose from, and they include varieties in size, shape, and anti-spreads and finish. They also, Entry Armor or Pro Lok offers those spacers to help with the height or offset adjustment between the door and frame for many of their latch protectors. Okay, so if you find that you would apply the latch guard with that offset and you still can't get the door to close, meaning where you install it, it doesn't come over far enough, and you're faced with either having to grind or file open the latch bolt area of your strike, what you would do is you would add that spacer to give you that greater offset. That's the spacer part there. So they're basically saying, hey, we offer spacers because every frame is different. And that offset, and that offset that this latch guard has is adequate for standard installations. But if you've got a door that's warped or a frame that's not plumb, while the offset is still the offset, your door and frame will not be in proper original relationship to each other, requiring you to create more room from the underside of the latch protector to the face of the frame. Position the latch protector in the desired position on the door. Close the door and check that the door will close properly once the latch protector is installed. Mark the bolt holes. Drill holes for your 5/16 bolts. I would probably be drilling something slightly larger than 5/16. And attach the latch protector to the door. You may need to provide other fasteners depending on your application. If your latch protector hits or rubs on the frame or strike plate, sometimes a larger offset is needed, etc. So they don't address the potential conflict with the face of the stop and then the acorn nut solution, but we'll put our tape measure on there a little bit better, and it doesn't appear that you're going to have trouble mitigating that based on where it's located. So that is the installation instructions there. Let's switch back to the camera view and take final dimensions and then wrap up this video. Okay, so let's take those last dimensions that I had mentioned earlier, then look at where that is coming from. So we know it's 3 9/16 we said earlier. And that prep, that notch, if we're eyeballing that on the camera, it looks like it's about 1 inch. I would say, yeah, it's about 1 inch, maybe, 1 inch. Then the inside height of that area, about 10 1/4. So be mindful that the idea is that this is going to fit, over an escutcheon mortise lock, or as the factory's drawn, they've got a deadbolt and probably a grade 2 lever lock that's there. Now, in terms of where this is going to lay, if you're going to take the beginning of the offset and have that basically where the edge of the door will be, if we look at it kind of this way, and be mindful that the projection of the stop on the hollow metal frame is about 5/8 of an inch. To the center of the bolt, it looks like it's about 13/16. Okay, so if that's 13/16 and the width of your acorn bolt, is 9/16, yeah, I'm thinking this is going to make some conflict because you're not far enough over, is the bottom line. About 1/2 of an inch, yeah, you're going to fall within that space. So the question becomes is, how do you want to try to cheat that over enough to be mindful of where you're installing that material? And, looking at from the center of the bolt to where the offset starts, that is 13/16 of an inch. Yeah, like I said, I think, and then 5/8 of that really, you know, half of an inch. So you're going to be right on the line of where that's going to come into play. So you're going to want to lay that out and think that through. If it was me, I'm going to probably try to bias this a bit further over and have the edge of the door coming in closer in here. Anyway, so as to get that moved away. Be mindful. I've had people call me and say, yeah, the head of the bolt hits the frame stop. Yes, it does. It does. Because they don't have a solution for that. Pro Lok does not have a solution for that. So there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Pro Lok items that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. A nice chrome plated sort of finish. This will work out really well in those applications where it does a good job at just preventing people from, you know, getting not only a spread attack, but tampering with the lip of the strike plate and getting access to the latch bolt. The depth of that recessed area for the accommodating the strike is going to be about 3/8 of an inch, is what that's going to be, which means a standard lip strike is going to fit neatly inside of here and allow the door to still close, you know, with this making contact with the face of the frame. So it ought to work out well for you. If you have any questions on the Pro Lok or their Entry Armor. Entry Armor is their branded line of security hardware. And back to that link, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page. That will allow you to see not only all the Pro Lok products we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, their product catalog, but the Entry Armor catalog as well. And that's the one that you want to look at if you're looking at security hardware, because the product catalog is Pro Lok's core line of locksmithing tools. Pro Lok is a manufacturer of tools that aid locksmiths. Security hardware serves that same market, but it's a separate catalog. So there'll be two catalogs there uploaded. Entry Armor for this material, the product catalog, the core product catalog. If you're looking for locksmithing tools, picks, you know, their Blue Punch is what Pro Lok is most known for. Any questions on the ELP-240-1 in a C finish or any other Pro Lok product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.